Hey guys, this is part 2 of some of the mods I do on my guitars, which a lot of you guys have been asking about. Let's dive in. This is the body of the guitar, the strum bar. So I'm going to show you guys now how to mod your strum bar to make it fix any unwanted overstrums. That's like one of the worst things you can have happen. You're on an FC, you're playing well, and suddenly, plunk! You didn't do anything wrong, the guitar just registered 2 strums instead of 1. Just going to jump in here quick, guys. I forgot to say before opening up this guitar, you're going to need some duct tape. That's the essential thing to help with this next strum mod. And for the small amount of hardcore players that would like a perfect one-finger raking guitar, I'm sorry, but unless you already have a guitar that overstrums like crazy, there's no real way of getting a one-finger rake guitar. I'm sorry, it's just the guitar does it or it doesn't. However, this tutorial will help you. Let's say your guitar does 3 strums down and 2 strums up, or 4 strums down and 4 strums up. This will help it so you can, with a bit of trial and error, make it so it goes 2-2. But for most of us normal players, you want a guitar that is just consistent and does 0 overstrumming, and that's what I'm going to help you guys with. So this guitar I have now, when I flick the strum bar down, it does 1 strum. Unless I have it horizontal, then it does 2. Interesting. But if I hold the guitar in the normal position, it does 1 strum, and then when I flick it up, it does 2 strums. Every time I up strum, you see that? It goes up, down, up, down, up, down. That's me doing 1 strum, and it's doing 2 strums. Whenever I do an up strum, it registers 2 strums. Whenever I do a down strum, it only registers the 1. So to have a consistent guitar, I'd want it so when I up, it only does 1 strum. When I down, it only does 1 strum. I don't want these extra strums. I could be in the middle of an FC, and I finish a strumming sequence, and it does 2 strums. Bruh. There's my FC gone. So we're going to open up this guitar. I'll show you guys what's inside, and I'll show you guys a quick fix to help stop these unwanted overstrums. So first, detach the neck. And then on the back, you'll see there are many screws. And like the neck, they all require a torque screwdriver. There is also a screw underneath, you see here? There's also a screw underneath the warranty sticker. But watch out, guys. If you break the warranty, you won't be able to return this to Activision and get a new guitar. Oh no. Break the warranty at your own risk. Risk. You also want to take off the neck. A lot of guitars have a little thing which unlocks it, and then you can just pull it off. And then I should be able to just take this off. I almost forgot. On the Wii guitar, there are 4 extra screws up here for absolutely no reason. I don't know why. Most guitars don't have this, but the Wii guitar has 4 extra screws. So I'm going to have to take those off now as well. And these aren't torque screws. These are normal cross-headed screws. So you're going to need a long, thin screwdriver. Yikes, that was hard work. Now the guitar should just come apart. There we go. Whee! Here is the naked guitar in all its glory. So, because this is the Wii guitar, it looks a little bit different to the Xbox guitars, but mostly the same. This is the area where your tilt sensor would normally be. However, with the Wii guitar, the actual remote is the tilt sensor. So, sadly, for Clone Hero play on PC, you don't have a tilt sensor in this guitar. It's missing one. Feels bad, man. But this is what we're going to focus on here, where the strum bar is. So there are 8 screws where the strum bar is. It's only the outer 4 that we want to focus on, because the inner 4 is what holds the strum switches in place. So we don't want to mess with those for now. So before you take these apart, make sure that all the wires around it are quite loose, because they're all quite tight. So if you start picking this up, you're going to be ripping wires out left, right, and center. First off, we'll get rid of the things that are holding the wires in place, because, I mean, they're not really needed. They're only in the Wii guitars, which I've noticed. So for some reason, the Guitar Hero 3 Wii guitars are very well made. Like, in comparison to the 360 ones. Some 360 ones that I've opened up have been in awful states, but these are very tidy. It's a very tidy thing in here, so strange. So, this is where the analog toggle is. You want to remove that just because it gets in the way. I think this is where the Xbox 360 button is. On the Xbox 360 guitars. So same thing again with those. You want to just try and remove everything around it, or at least from one side, so you can sort of like take it off. Because otherwise, like I say, you're going to be ripping wires, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So once you've loosened all that off, then you should start working on the actual board itself. So, like I say, it's the outer 4 screws. So, and again, be quite gentle. I've got quite a good screwdriver here, so I never really need to worry. But I've seen a lot of people when they're taking apart the board, the screws have been stuck, and it has happened on me a few times as well. The screws, like I say, round off or get stuck. It's a bit of a nightmare. So, hopefully that doesn't happen to me right now. But it could happen, so just got to be very gentle, very careful, loosen them off gently. Right, now that they're all unscrewed and everything's loose, you should be able to pick it up. And I'll leave all these ones at the side, because I can just flop it on top. There's no need to undo extra things you don't need to. So this should come out. There we go. And then I'm going to lift up this with where the neck connects. So this wire here is quite fragile. So lift both of these up together. You don't want them coming apart. Rip guitar, unless you know how to solder and stuff. So just pick that up, and everything else should just come with it. There we go. Look at that. Perfect. Just comes with it. Boom. And now this is the strum bar, and this is what we're going to be modifying to stop overstrums. So, ew, what's this? Ew, there's a hair in my guitar. Yuck. This is where the board screws into and holds the strum bar in place. We're going to take these off. So there's 1, there's 2, and then the strum bar itself should just come out now, and then there's a bar inside it. That does come out. This is what you're going to want to do. So, my guitar was overstrumming both ways, depending what angle I held the guitar. So I'm going to do this on both sides and see if it works. There's going to be a little bit of trial and error. You'll have a bit of trial and error as well, but it's basically finding what's comfortable for your guitar. So you're going to need some duct tape. I've got some here. You don't need a lot of it. I'm going to pull some off and cut it. So how the strum bar works when you're playing, let's say you strum down, it's going to hit the switch, the strum switches, and also the side of the strum bar is going to hit this part of the body. See these like bits that are raised? It's going to hit them. And then when you let go, it's going to ricochet back to the middle. But especially with the Wii guitars, I've noticed, and quite a lot of other guitars, it hits the side of the body, and because it's just solid plastic, it ricochets off it very, like, abruptly. So you strum down, it'll go boing, and when it comes back, that's what's causing the overstrum. So you'll strum down, it'll ricochet back, and it'll actually register an upstrum as well, depending how sensitive your switches are, or sometimes they can be faulty, the switches, but most of the time this is the reason. So you're going to try and want to stop this ricochet. So putting a little bit of tape works really well because it acts like a cushion. So instead of ricocheting off some hard plastic, it sort of, this cushions that and it stops the ricochet. So you don't get any extra overstrums. hopefully I've explained that as best I can. If you don't understand what I mean by that, trust me, just do this anyway. So you want to cut a bit of tape out that fits perfectly here, and then just place it along. So put it on top, so it rests right on top of where the strum bar is going to come down. Ooh, there we go. Rests perfectly on top there. Hopefully you guys can see that. There you are. And then I'm going to obviously cut it to shape, because that's a little bit... It's going to cut it to shape here, because that's a little bit too big. There we go. Right, and then we just rest that down there. Perfect. Now, this is where the trial and error comes in. So, for some people, this will fix your guitar. For others, it might still overstrum. So, simple solution, just get another bit of tape and just put it on top. Have 2 layers of tape, 3 layers of tape. The only downside is, if your strum switches are really that sensitive, then it can get to the point where the strum bar doesn't feel right. It feels really weird. Like, it can feel really soft, or it doesn't have a lot of leeway. So, for guitars that are super sensitive on the strum switches, there's nothing you can really do about that. You might be a bit boned. But for most guitars, this will work very nice. So I'm going to put some tape on both sides. So now we're going to do the other side. This one can be a little bit tricky, especially on these guitars, because it's right next to this bit here where the Wii remote goes in. So it can look a little bit weird, but I just make it sort of like, I just make it right up. It's hard to get this one in place because of the way the guitar is shaped, but just try your best. Also, it's good afterwards to just go over the tape, like make it a little bit stronger, because it can peel. So just around the edges, just put a little bit more tape, just to make it stay in the right position. To help it stay in the right position, just put a little bit more tape around. So that's going to help that not peel off. This one especially here can easily peel off, so it's a bit of a pain, but just a little bit around the corners just to help it hold position. A little bit on this side as well. Just squeeze that in there. And there we go. That doesn't look perfect by any means, but hopefully it will do the job. So we're going to test this out. So we're going to put the strum bar back together. So strum bar in. Boom. Put the holders in place. Boom. And then we're going to put this back down. Ever so gently. Put everything back in place. And you don't really need to put these holders back in. It's not really needed. Like, the wires are pretty sturdy as they are, but if you want to, go for it. So here's a really weird thing. Depending how much you screw these screws in, can determine how much this guitar will overstrum. At least with the Wii guitars, I've noticed. So if I put this guitar back together, and this goes for the body screws as well. If I put one of these guitars back together and leave all the screws super loose, it means there's like a lot of leeway, and it's not. You know, as I was saying earlier, how the strum bar ricochets. If there's a lot of leeway and a bit of bounce to it, it doesn't ricochet as much. So if you find, even with doing this tape method, that your guitar is still overstrumming way too much, when you're putting the guitar back together, try just keeping the screws out, like, a lot. Like, don't screw it in really tight. Like, by all means screw it in, but just leave a lot of flex to it. Like here, look at that. There's a bit of flex to that. And that can stop the overstrumming as well. So we're going to do that on this one. We're going to screw everything in, but just not super tight. Going to leave a little bit of flex to it, because that can stop the ricochet. Because obviously, if everything's super tight and closed together, any sudden movement's going to make it bounce around like crazy. So if you've got that flex, that movement, it can stop the ricocheting and stop the overstrumming. These 1 second. And remember as well, any screws you're putting in, don't tighten them up all the way, no matter what it is, because, again, you don't want to round off those screws. Then you'll never be able to open up your guitar again. Just put everything in relatively tight, unless it's the strum bar, like I was saying earlier. Alright, there we go. That guitar looks pretty done. Pretty good. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put this guitar back together. So we're going to place this back on. Remember, just watch for any wires. Make sure they're all in place. Make sure nothing's over a screw hole, because then you done goofed. That looks good. Let's place it back on top. There we go. So obviously you're doing this by trial and error, really. So what you want to do is just put a few screws in, because you'll probably have to open up your guitar 1 or 2 more times. So just put a few screws in around where the strum bar is, because that's, you know, where... That's the area that you've been messing with. So, again, tighten up the screws, but not too tight. There we go. Right, we'll put the rest in afterwards, but for now... Let's see if this guitar works. Let's see if this guitar works. I can definitely feel there's a little less travel. It doesn't feel like it's ricocheting at all as much. So let's turn on the game now and find out if it still overstrums. Right, we are all connected. I'm just going to tab in now. Let's see. So I'm going to flick the strum bar down. That is 1 strum. I'm flicking it down. That is 1 strum. Now we're going to flick it up. Moment of truth. Moment of truth. 1 strum. Wow. So you see? That is me full on. I'm flicking like a madman. 1 strum every time. No double strumming anymore. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Down, up, down, up, down, up. So I can say that is definitely a success. This guitar now works flawlessly, so I can put in the rest of the screws, put back on the faceplate, and I have a perfectly functioning guitar. Hell yes. There is another way to fix your strum bar as well if all else fails. You can actually put in new switches. However, that requires soldering and stuff. I have actually done that to 1 guitar, and it worked pretty well, but I don't really have time for this tutorial, so maybe if a lot of you guys ask, I could do one. We'll see. But hopefully, this tutorial I've just done now helps loads of you guys make the ultimate guitar. I know I have. So I have a few guitars I use on stream. This is now going to be one of them, which I'm going to use a lot. It's got perfect buttons. I used the scissor method for this one, so I actually cut the lines down the side of the buttons. These buttons feel amazing, and obviously look at my little pattern here. I also, just now, this is the strum bar you guys just saw me mod. This is the one I'm going to use on stream a lot. So this is going to be my no raking strum bar, which I'm probably going to use for the most part. And then down here, I can't be bothered getting it, but I have another guitar which does a perfect 1-finger rake. So it does 2 down, 2 up. I also have a guitar over here that does 3-finger raking. So it's well, 3 rakes on 1 finger, sorry, should I say. So I strum down once, it does 3. I strum up once, it does 3. Pretty crazy. That was just by fluke. I didn't even mod that one. It just does that. I've also got a PlayStation 2 guitar, which, if I show you here, I've done the tape method. I did the tape method a little bit differently, because I couldn't really get underneath it very well. So I just made the tape go all the way around, because it wouldn't stay in place. So I just put it you know, on the inside of the strum bar, and then brought it all the way out, and then just stuck it to the front. And yeah, this one works amazingly. This is probably my most consistent guitar I've ever had. I could literally get like the strongest man in the world to flick this strum bar down and it won't overstrum. It's insane. I also have another guitar, a Warriors of Rock guitar, which again, as you saw earlier, I've modded the buttons of, but I've also again done the tape method on the strum bar, and this is, I've never had an overstrum. It's amazing. I've never had an overstrum with this guitar. So proof right there. The tape method works. If it doesn't work, apply another layer of tape. If it doesn't work after that, GG, your switches are probably ruined. And hopefully I've managed to help wearing your frets a little bit better, so it's a little bit easier to hit those fast notes and stuff on those chords. If you guys want any more tutorials or struggle with anything, let me know in the comment. Maybe I can make another tutorial about anything else rhythm game, Clone Hero, Guitar Hero related. I don't know. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit if you enjoyed the video and if you learned something today. Follow me on Twitter, and if you want to see me live most days on my Twitch, check us out. Cheers for watching. Bye, guys.